Hey, we are live on Analysts After. I had to check which show it was. Analysts After Work.
What are we doing here?
And I had to check because I am joined by my. First of all, I'm joined by the amazing Tamara Koppel. Welcome, Tamara.
Thank you.
But I had to
Good to be here.
I had to check what show it was because I'm also joined by my co-host of the Business Not As Usual podcast, the digital consigliere, Michael Martino. Mike, welcome to
Hello,
to the other side.
Thank you, and hello, everybody.
So serious.
Yes, we
This
have
is
to get
just
into it.
the precursor to
The nonsense.
To the nonsense. Fantastic. Well, we are. I am live at. Conference season has kicked off. The fall conference season has kicked off, and I am thrilled. I spent most of the day on the plane from my home in Toronto. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went from Toronto to Austin, Texas. I am in Austin, Texas.
So am I.
Okay. Are you here? Hold on. Are you here for ATX BADD?
Yes.
The Fellowship of the BA?
Yeah.
Are you? So I'm at the Holiday Inn Express Northwest Arboretum.
Okay, I am too.
Is this getting scary?
It's
okay.
Weird. Wait a second. Your room looks really familiar. I feel like I'm in a mirror.
Couch.
Is that the same picture?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. No, different picture. This was way funnier in rehearsal.
But we gave it a
go. We tried. I did know that Tamara was here. I knew that we are both speaking at ATX BADD tomorrow.
Woo-hoo!
So we came in today to hang out a little bit and just get some tacos or some barbecue or something. I don't know. But yeah, we're at ATX BADD. I see a few familiar faces, some new faces. Welcome, Christine. Welcome, Steve Jones, Sherry, Brienne, Finney. Welcome. From Melbourne, Australia. I think this is the furthest anyone has ever joined from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome.
Wow. I'm
impressed. I am not in the same cool hotel room. I am at my home in Toronto, so I don't have a fancy room.
No.
I might feel a little left out.
So, I mean, don't feel left out. Don't feel left out, Mike. Come on.
Okay, well, so next year, all three of us will have to do this in Kansas City at KC BADD.
Oh.
If you're inviting, I don't have any 2024 bookings yet, but if you're inviting, Tamara, I'm like a vampire. Like I have to be invited. Otherwise I actually did that with, I think I talked about this last episode, with the Festival of Business Analysis in Australia, where they're like, recommend a speaker. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to recommend myself. If anyone wants to recommend me, I'm happy to have that.
Okay, and I have a story for you about that in a minute.
No one did. So I'm not going to Australia.
So years and years and years and years ago, back when I had a girlish figure, I was in a local beauty pageant. And I was one of just a handful of contestants to begin with. It turns out, long story short, I got nominated for Miss Congeniality. Woohoo, right?
Okay.
And they came to us the night of the pageant and said, there's been a two-way tie between Miss Congeniality nominees, and Tamara, you're one of them, and so you're the other person. So we're going to have a tiebreaker vote. There were 11 contestants. And I figured out later that if everybody had re-voted for the same person, I ended up voting for the other girl, and she won Miss Congeniality. So when someone says, I'm looking for people to invite, you volunteer.
Yes, you volunteer yourself.
Exactly. That was a very early lesson learned.
I mean, fair enough, but yeah. Australia is on my list of places to go. To do it in a professional capacity, even better. But it's all good. It's all good.
100%.
So yeah, it's all good. So Mike, don't feel left out.
I
Yeah,
don't.
next
I'm
year, Tamara, I don't know if you know this. Mike and I, Mike is one of the few people that I enjoy presenting with. There's a natural like riffiness, and we present.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, we had former heavyweight boxer Vladimir Klitschko was our opening act
Yes, it was.
at the PMI virtual conference.
Okay.
And I mean, he wasn't. He was the opening keynote, and
And we
right
followed
after
him.
We were right after him. But we present on the missing pieces of the digital transformation puzzle. We know some stuff, and that dates back to Mike and I used to work together. So there we go.
So you make a great team.
And we don't anymore.
don't.
I got sick of him. Christine, I'm the worst self-promoter ever. The worst.
Why is that?
Anyways.
Why is that?
This is gonna become therapy now?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, there's elements of imposter syndrome. There's elements of just that natural, like, Canadian self-deprecating. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not good enough.
Nice.
The Canadian nice. I don't know. I'm not good at it. I need you know what I need? I need a Flavor Flav.
That's right. You need a hype man is what you need.
I need a hype man. I need a Flavor Flav.
Maybe tomorrow.
We're going to have to compare Midwest nice to Canadian nice and see who comes out on top. But yeah, but don't we all have a little bit of that imposter syndrome? I still have 100%. That too. And my husband, who's been a senior data engineer for like 20 years, still comes home at night and we talk about feeling like whatever problem of the day we were struggling with respectively. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe we don't know as much as we thought we knew, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, who does?
Nobody knows everything.
If we don't continue to come across new challenges and new problems and new situations, life is going to be boring. But
this is true. Well, so is therapy over?
I don't know.
I'm good if therapy's
Dr.
over.
Mike?
If you want to move on. I mean, I don't know if this. I'm looking at the chat and I think a lot of people feel that way. So I think it's it's not a Canadian thing.
So and I have to ask, when you said Midwest nice, is that the same as Minnesota nice? Because Jen Batten told me all about Minnesota nice, which is not very nice.
No,
okay.
I generally think it's pretty Midwest nice. Okay, unless you're talking about Westboro Baptist Church, but that's another story entirely.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not.
Let's leave them off the show, please.
Done.
Because when you said earlier, everyone questions that they don't know everything, and then I thought, well, I can think of one person who thinks he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to be welcome back in your lovely country, so I'm not gonna talk about former leaders of nations. But anyways, I'm not gonna do that. So I mean, yes, I think we all struggle with imposter syndrome to a degree. I think what I try to do is not have it become paralyzing. Like, that I don't want to not do something because I'm afraid of doing it. You know what I mean?
But I don't think that's what most of our problems are. I think everyone doesn't want to come across as selly. It's somewhat people feel like for lack of a better word, like dirty, or oh, I'm trying to sell this to someone and I don't want to. But there needs to be some of that, especially like we all sell.
Yes.
And you're selling tomorrow. I assume at your keynote, you are selling ideas. So there's a version of selling in everything we do. It's just funny when it comes to saying, I'm the person who can do that, like in the
Right.
pageant. Then you let someone else go. And it's like, no, it should be me.
Right. I want to be Miss Congeniality.
Okay. Congratulations, you're Miss
Yeah,
Congeniality.
there you go.
Miss Congeniality ATX 2023.
There you go.
There we go. So
I'll tell Kat we need to make a sash tonight.
we don't need to do that. So Tamara, what are you talking about tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I am going to be talking about change management techniques in large projects. So for the last 3 years or so, well, actually, we started this project in March of 2020, the week after everyone went into lockdown. We started an enormous transformation from our legacy CRM system to a Microsoft Dynamics based platform. And we are coming close to we're in the home stretch, but this has been a 3-year business process reengineering effort. And every day of the last 3 years has just been one learning opportunity after another. So there's some things that have really worked well for us, and I'll be sharing some of those techniques.
Well, that's fantastic. Mike, I'll record the session for you.
Thank you.
Because I'm sure it's going to be helpful.
Well, spoiler alert, because we just recorded this episode, but it was about legacy systems.
That's true. I forgot about that. We just did it on Friday.
did it a whole week ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
And legacy systems not just being technology. So yeah. I'm glad to hear it was process re-engineering and not just moving to a new CRM and leaving the legacy systems of your processes and people and culture to not follow.
But hold on. Everybody knows.
Yes.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
The technology solves every problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Pause
right.
for laughter. Pause for laughter.
we need a canned laughter here.
We do. I think AJ's got one on his Analysts After Dark. AJ and Steve. Sorry, I don't want to exclude Steve. They're co-hosts, AJ and Steve. But I think they do sound effects. I haven't. It's not for me. It's a lot of work. I don't want to. Yeah. Anyways, fantastic. So managing change, that it's more than technology. That sounds fairly universal. And I've been seeing you were just virtually in South Florida. Were you actually there? Like, no, you've been killing
virtual. I'm getting around a little more this year than I did last year. But last year, Kansas City was trying to launch its very first professional development day, which we pulled off. And this year, and then I moved on, and a fantastic professional named Cecilia Walsh has taken over, and she's amazing. She's going places. She's really doing great things with the Kansas City team. So I felt pretty good about being able to kind of put my focus elsewhere. And that gave me some extra time to think about presentations and things that I've been learning as part of my job over the last 3 years. I keep approaching my coworkers because I work with all these amazing developers who've been figuring out, new ways of doing things. And I say, you know what, this would make a great blog post. I bet there's a whole lot of people that would like this. And I'm not technical enough to be able to describe how you did what you did. I just can say, this is what we were trying to accomplish, and this was the outcome. And every one of them just gives me this exhausted look and says, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. I don't have time. So it's all going to be on me if I do that. But even I am kind of at the limit of what I can do. And the project at work itself has geared up and has ramped up. And we've set some really aggressive targets to meet by the end of the year. So basically when I get back from the Power Platform conference after the first week of October, I'm going into heads down mode, and I'm going into, I won't say hibernation, but more or less offline so that I can focus on work for the next 3 months.
Deep focus.
Deep focus.
Deep focus.
Yeah.
I can get a lot done in deep focus time. It's good times. It's good times. I wrote my book in deep focus. Like, I set time. This is like 29. This is like pre-pandemic now at this point. I wrote it over 6 weeks, and I'm like, I'm not going to work on anything else for 6 weeks. I had my day job, so there was that. I worked
Right.
with Mike, so I worked, Mike. During those 6 weeks, I worked. But whenever I had, over lunch or on the train or whatever, like, that's what I worked on, and I did my best not to be distracted with conferences or keynotes or can you do this workshop or can you do this, and like, the answer to everything was no, so that I was focused on what I had to do. And I don't do that enough anymore. I'm finding that I'm like at the end of I'm at capacity at this point, which is a rare feeling.
To be at capacity?
Yeah.
Then you're doing better than I am, because I always feel like I'm at or over capacity. And then I will go through this phase of pulling back from a whole bunch of things, and then alternately getting a case of FOMO or I'm bored. and then within 3 months, I'm right back to that capacity. So I have a couple of angels on my shoulder who are like, Tamara, you're not allowed to volunteer for that. So, but they have to know that I'm about to open my mouth for them to protect me. So
right.
I go back and forth, and it's kind of waxes and wanes.
Well, I'm just coming out of the longest period of not working on a LinkedIn learning course in the 2 years that I've been doing it. And I was without a course for almost 2 months. And I'm like, I'm getting itchy. I'm getting like, I got to get going. I got to do another one. So I ended up writing like 6 proposals and like, let's pick some. I may have a problem. I may be broken. I'm not sure. But I am at the point where like I've got. Let's regale the upcoming month of Vince, and then whatever. I'm in Austin until Saturday. I go home Sunday. I go back to the airport. I'm flying to Vegas. Next week is Infotech Live, which is our big annual conference. So I'll be in Vegas working, because Vegas is kind of, as we were talking, Tamara, before, Vegas, it's not for me. To each their own. It's not for me. Then I come home.
But at least there's 2 of us. At
Right.
least there's 2 of us who feel that way.
Right. And no, apparently 3. Steve also agrees that I have problems. Thanks, Steve. Oh, Steve. Then I'm back. Then I'm going to New York. Then I'm back. Then I'm going to Boston. So within the next 4 weeks, I will be in 4 different cities in this country, and I still have to work. Oh, and I'm doing a TED Talk in the middle of all that. I'm doing a TED Talk. So yeah, that should be fun. So when I say I'm at capacity, I have no mental space left for anything. And this is the time when I say, what can I do as my next LinkedIn learning course?
Where do you get your ideas from, Vince? Because you're like a LinkedIn learning machine putting things out. Where are you getting all your inspiration from?
I like that. I look at what exists and I try to find gaps. So, for example, my most popular course is a course called Creating a Culture of Continuous Improvement. Mm-hmm. So it was after my first course, I pitched that as an idea, and they're like, no, we already have that. I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, we already have that idea. I'm like, that's a course. I'm like, no, you don't have it. They didn't have it. And so it was just, I looked through the entire catalog and I try to see what's missing, just as any good BA would, right? I'm trying to figure out what the needs are so that I can put a unique spin on it. So that's where ideas come from. I try to schedule as much thinking time as possible. It's becoming rarer and rarer, but this is where like the shower is great, because that's where my mind wanders, and then I just, I gotta write that down, because I got these ideas.
You have your best aha moment. Oh, okay. So do you
Yeah.
keep like a grease board in the shower so you don't forget it?
No, but like once I think of an idea, then that, like, I need to lock it in, and then as soon as I get out of the shower, I got to write it down. I'll record a memo on my phone or something.
So don't you find traveling does help though? So like today, you could have you're away from the office. You're not, unless you're checking your phone. That is now like 2, 3, I don't know how long it took you to get there. 4 hours of airport, flight. And now and you're by yourself. So I would assume you had a lot of time to think and do stuff, since you're also experienced travelers. So the novelty of traveling is over. So now you can just focus.
So this is really stupid. So normally, yes, you're right. Like, on the plane is where I will come up with outlines or come up with new ideas or whatever. Today, because I already feel like I'm at my capacity, I'm watching a movie.
Right.
Ditto.
And I was like, I'm going to watch the stupidest movie I can think of. So what did I watch?
Right.
Cocaine Bear.
Fantastic movie.
You know what?
I laughed the entire time.
It was better than I thought. It was better than I was expecting. It actually wasn't bad. Like, the bear was obviously fake. The bear is crazy, but you know what? It had a story.
It
wasn't just a black bear running around killing people.
Yeah.
It had a story. So so that's what I did on the way here. Normally though, I will have my phone, and I've got, Google Drive, Sheets, Docs, and I will just do work in there. So normally I didn't today. I think once I get through next week, because next week is interesting for me, because Tamara, as you'll see tomorrow, my presentation style is very, shall we say, free-flowing and improvisational. I just get up in the front and I start telling stories, and sometimes the stories relate, and and this one was about the Lord of the Rings, so like I researching this keynote was terrible. I got to watch all 3 extended cuts of the movies. It was the worst. It was the absolute worst.
That takes so much dedication.
I know, right? All for you guys. But
like, kudos, dude.
Right? I mean, I did it like 3 times. I watched them 3 times each. So,
but did you read the books?
I have read the books.
Well, and then you're doing better than me.
Tomorrow I will draw, we're going to mainly focus on the films, because the films actually did a really good job. But, they left out the stuff about like Tom Bombadil, and, there were minor things. But for the most part, the movies did okay. But next week, because it's, it's work, there's a script, and, it's not like I have to say the exact words, but it's much more, there's a lot more preparation that goes into it. And so I think I'm just nervous, because it's a very different approach to presenting that I'm not used to. So I think once I get through next week, I will be mentally in a much better place.
What makes next week's presentation different? Why is the format so structured? Is this LinkedIn Learning that you're doing? Is this
no, this is the Infotech Live.
Infotech
So-
line. Okay.
They want
Yeah.
to make sure Vince doesn't go rogue. So
Yeah.
they're scripting him.
Which you know
Okay.
what?
Fair.
They absolutely should. Like
You just
they
do your
should.
best work
They
when
should.
you go rogue.
No,
See, now me, I just babble.
I will say, yeah, I've gotten a lot better. I think I was once described as bombastic. Like, and I'm
Like the
like, but
song.
that means there's no substance. Like, I'm not bombastic. There's substance. But it's just it's storytelling, but it's a different way of storytelling. And so, you know, I think the presentations that I'm going to be doing 5 presentations. Maybe that's another challenge. I'm doing 5 presentations, 3 on my own and 2 I'm presenting with my boss, which maybe also is a contributing factor. But Ari's awesome. Ari, if you're watching this, you're awesome. I think it's just I'm not used to it, and I think that's what's scaring me, maybe subconsciously. Man, this is therapy again. It's therapy again.
We could talk about Steve and why AI won't take over.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. This is what it needs input. It doesn't do well finding what isn't there. No, Steve, not entirely true. Although, you know, ChatGPT has that hallucination where it just makes stuff up, and then it's up to you to actually figure out what's real and what isn't. So, I believe that's a setting in GPT-4 that you can dictate the level of hallucination, which I wouldn't want it to hallucinate at all. Like, don't make stuff up.
We'll have enough problems.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
found that too. But then when I challenged it, it's like it would come back to me. I went looking for some articles that it referred me to, and when I couldn't find those articles, I said, I'm not finding these. Where, you know, cite your sources. Oops, it says. And I worry a little bit for the next generation, because even, you know, my husband and I have tried to raise our son in a way that he's a critical thinker. And some days I'm just not sure that message got through. I just don't know what people are going to believe these days. And, you know, when people are believing things that are clearly untrue, or suddenly innocuous things like pizzas are suddenly a veiled signal for, I don't know, pedophilia, which was a weird thing that I saw. It was an outtake from the Daily Show on TikTok. I was like, what?
This is that whole Pizzagate thing?
Yeah, it's just the continuation. It's just this week's flavor of Pizzagate. I look at what's on TikTok and I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to survive. I just don't know if the human race is going to survive.
And maybe, I mean, maybe we've had a good run. Like, as a species, we've had a good run.
So we're good.
I don't know. Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
A long time ago I did, but it's worth seeing again. But yes, it's frightening.
Mike, have you seen Idiocracy?
I have not seen it.
All right. So Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph volunteer for a science experiment to be put into suspended animation for a year. As soon as the casket is closed, the team gets arrested for embezzling funds or whatever it was, and they end up in this animated state for 500 years. And when they wake up, everyone is dumb. Because the theory is that stupid people have more kids, and eventually it just overruns the population. So in 500 years, I think we're seeing that on an accelerated curve. And I'll stop there. I won't add any more commentary because I'm my political scientist is my political science, you know, brain is telling me to shut up. But like the president of the U.S. is like a macho Camacho. It's Terry Crews, who's a former UFC fighter that wins a popularity contest to be president.
Which harkens back to who's the president of the United States? Ronald Reagan, the actor. So yeah,
right. So it's worth watching. It's on Netflix, at least in Canada. It's on Netflix, but it could be a documentary. It could be a document. Like there's a lot of parallels. So maybe we're at the end. Maybe this is the end for humanity. I don't know.
It's coming true. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, Kat has checked in. Kat, who brought us both to ATX BADD, president of the Austin chapter. Kat McGill, who needs to be on this show at some point.
Kat in the house.
Yes. Now, I think Kat said she was going to join as soon as she checked into the hotel, which means she's also at the Holiday Inn Express Northwest Arboretum by the...
Be at the Holiday Inn Express tonight, y'all.
So if you're in town, apparently the party's at the Holiday Inn Express
Drinks
Northwest
are on
Arboretum. Drinks are a BYOB scenario. I do have some candy from the Bulk Barn.
Well, apparently,
that's
besides
candy
the
from
Costco,
the
there
Bulk
is a
Barn.
liquor store just around the corner too, maybe within walking distance.
There you go.
Is there? Okay, I just see the massive Costco outside the window. So, yeah. Anyways.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Well, you know, I was scouting and trying to decide whether I had time to go get a snack from somewhere besides the Wendy's that's at the end of the parking lot. And so the first thing that I do once I get all set up in my room is go to Google Maps, and it's like, what is around me? And
Nothing.
oh, there's things. There's like, that's how I knew there was a Sprouts probably within walking distance. So
There's a Taco Bell on the other side of the highway.
Jeez.
I know that. And there's
yeah,
a Chick-fil-A.
that's my taco heartburn. That I cannot eat Taco Bell without getting heartburn.
Do they sell alcohol at the Costco down there?
I don't know.
Oh,
I haven't gone in.
Oh.
I left my card at home.
What? You should always travel with
Yeah.
your cart. You never know.
And
I forgot.
I'm a Sam's Club member, so
Not
not quite convenient.
Let's bring this all together. I've heard rumors, and I need to confirm this, but the hotel that I'm staying at in Vegas, across the street, has a Taco Bell cantina. Hans Ekman, my dear friend and colleague, has been talking about the Taco Bell cantina, where they do serve alcohol, so you can get I don't know what with your fry supreme and your burritos, and I'm very excited. And I looked
I'm
it up.
assuming it's a Corona.
I mean,
That's
probably
typically what goes with it.
Probably. I don't know that anything goes with Taco Bell, but
fair.
but I'm very excited. Like, of all the things, the conference, going to Vegas, speaking 5 times, the thing I'm most looking forward to is Taco Bell Cantina, which is so stupid. It's the little things.
Yep, for sure.
The glory of traveling.
The glory of travel. I keep saying to anyone that will hear it, business travel is not glamorous. Like, this is it.
This is it.
I mean,
hotel,
Christine, I
that's
disagree. I disagree. Slushy margaritas. There's a restaurant in Newmarket called Made in Mexico that the slushy margarita is called a bulldog. It's delightful. It's a margarita with a Corona upside down, so it distributes the Corona in a perfect ratio as you're drinking. So
Fantastic.
Gravity, science takes care of everything. It's the best.
Yep.
I
So
feel like
remember,
this has been a
Vince,
whirlwind.
So-
Yes.
Y'all remember that I actually was on a plane during lunch, so I haven't eaten yet. You're making
Oh,
me hungry.
sorry, Tamara. I went to the
Ash, I'm
Wendy's
gonna need
because it's
some
just
food.
Yeah, I went to the Wendy's because I'm lazy, and I got it an hour before you. But I'm lazy.
That's
Mike.
true.
You were Mike. You were going to take us in a new line of.
No. I was the reason I made the crack about the glory of business traveling is that we used to work with a bunch of people that always wanted to business travel, and they envied you, and you were
Really?
like,
Oh,
there's really nothing to envy, because traveling ain't the glory you think it is. They're like, we just
no.
want to go away.
To what?
Like,
there was 1 year I did the provincial tour, and like, I went to Sudbury twice, like,
and Thunder Bay in February,
and Thunder Bay, and like,
which is for our American friends, as far north in Ontario as you can get, and
yes,
terribly cold in February. So it is no glory.
You can drive from Toronto to Florida faster than you can drive from Toronto to
100%.
Thunder Bay.
100%.
It's like a 23-hour drive. It's ridiculous. It's not fun, man. The only trip that was ever like I held over people was to Honolulu. That was the only one where it's like, okay, this is kind of awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of awesome. But other than that, like you spend your day in generic hotel rooms.
Yep.
With the same artwork and couch. Like you spend your day in in a conference room or a convention center. This ATX BADD was in. So I was at ATX BADD last year, and it was at the University of Texas, which was kind of cool to be on the campus there. So I believe we're back there again this year. Like that's kind of cool.
Is that like Texas A&M?
University of Texas, Longhorns.
Oh, the Longhorns.
Yeah,
I could get
Texas A&M is the Aggies.
Oh, okay.
See, I know my U.S. college.
That's
sports.
Impressive.
That
right?
is impressive.
Props,
no, Texas A&M is the Longhorns.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is kind of cool, and then we hang out afterwards somewhere fun, which is also kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, going to Washington is the same as going to Los Angeles is the same as going to Orlando. Like you're in a conference center, you're in a hotel. Maybe there's some stuff to do outside, but you're still trying to fit it in around your professional commitments.
Right.
So who was jealous, Mike? I'm curious. Let's put some people on blast
on the internet.
No.
Well, once upon a time I was that jealous person. And then I finally got to a point in my career where I did start traveling. None of my employers have ever really sent me on business travel. So if I wanted to do what I call business travel, it's been traveling to places like Minneapolis for their conference and down here for Cat's conference. And so now I was just saying this to my husband this morning. I said, you know what? I'm not necessarily excited about going to the airport and flying anymore. That feeling of, oh my gosh, I get to fly on an airplane is finally worn off.
Yeah.
I'm Gen X old, and it's taken this long for me to finally, for all that shine to wear off. And it's like, oh yeah, here we go with the TSA pat down again. But we were just talking about that and how I've just finally hit that point where it's no big deal to me anymore. And I hit the Austin airport, which I haven't been in for a long time. And I was just like, thank God for good signage. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just following the sign that says ground transportation. I'll get there. I'm all good.
Yeah.
So
now I'm nervous. So I just want to put in a disclaimer here because I definitely don't want to bite the hand that feeds. Now. Yeah, no, I'm not going to backpedal.
Okay.
But I'm going to backpedal for Amy.
Oh, okay.
Amy is not considered in this group. I would travel anywhere for Amy. Tamara, if you don't know, Amy gave me my first shot.
Oh,
So Amy has me for life.
okay.
I would travel anywhere that she asked me to, except New Mexico in a couple of weeks because it conflicts with my daughter's birthday. So I said no. But other than that, like if I'm available, thanks, Amy. If I'm available,
Disclaimer.
Amy is not included in the
hilarious.
drag. And actually, if you've ever been to one of her conferences, they're all a little different. They're all a little special, and they are cool. They are very cool. So Amy, if you're watching, maybe you should have the three of us back for something. Maybe. Amy, do you know Tamara? I know you know Mike because we presented at World Toronto in 2020.
I don't think Amy and I have ever had a chance to meet. I haven't. Yeah. But
Amy,
now we have been in the same chat rooms many times. So we've just never run into each other like IRL.
Okay. We're going to make that happen.
I have a question. Since I'm not part of the speaking circuit.
No, you are.
No, not really. So
you batted cleanup to Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes, I did. Are the virtual things kind of done now? Is everyone kind of back to pre-pandemic kind of conference and working? Because I feel those were better. Not everything is great virtually, but so is that what your feeling is, that we're kind of back to the old world as opposed to how we tried to manage through the pandemic?
Tamara, I'll let you answer first.
For me, not remotely. Every chapter every chapter leader that I talk to, every visit that I make, I keep hearing that it's been very difficult to get IIBA members into in-person meetings. And even the hybrid meetings, they have more people online than they do in their in-person locations. Doesn't matter where in the United States. I don't know too much about Europe or Asia, so I can't speak to that. But in the United States, at least, virtual still seems to be where everyone is, and everyone is struggling with it. And honestly, I just read in a Wall Street Journal article yesterday, and I saved it. It was on Apple News, so I'm trying to figure out how to share it out. But it talks about, is the after work happy hour done for? And it's not exactly the same, but it runs along the lines of, people are not staying after work to do the happy hours, to do the client smoozing or all of that. They're not doing that anymore. Everyone is racing for home if they go into work to begin with. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of struggle. Conferences are kind of a special occasion. It's a destination. But even the conferences, I think there has to be a special draw. You really got to want to travel to it.
Right.
So that's
Vince.
intentional.
Gotta,
because Vince is going to be there.
Got to bring the heavy hitters.
And because I get to see Kat. Because fun.
Yes. Hans raised, and Hans was here. Hans, I was just talking about how forward I'm looking to Taco Bell Cantina more than anything else next week. So and we need to make that happen. But Hans makes a really interesting point. Virtual is cheaper, and I think that's that has been a major driving factor in making that decision. Do you stay virtual or do you go in person? Because I would hearken to guess that anyone that runs a conference is not seeing the same numbers that they did pre-pandemic. I know with Amy, and I threw the link up. If you're looking to for a, I would say, a really good virtual conference, PMBA fall virtual conference in the middle of December the 12th to the 15th, I believe. it is a really good event. It's a shorter day. The agenda is different. So I don't think people want to do, the 9 to 4, 9 to 5 events, because that's a lot to do virtually. I don't want to I already have to sit at my computer for work. I don't want to, I want something different if I'm doing something different. And so, I've seen, the conferences that I've been back to, there's definitely a vibe. And that's missing from virtual events. But I think it's that we really haven't done a good job of delivering on a virtual experience. We just took what we did in person and tried to make it, technology solves every problem. We just wanted to make it virtual. And, I know that was one thing, in 2021, when Adrian Reed and I hosted Serendipity, the intent was to try to actually design a conference or an event that was virtual first and would never happen in real life. And, no coincidence, people keep asking, when is Serendipity 2? I think AJ has taken to calling it Serendipity 2 Electric Boogaloo, after that 70s movie, whatever, Breaking 2. But which whatever, AJ's having fun, and that's cool. But it did something. It gave the community something. Analysts After Work was intended to recreate that experience of just hanging out after work, because it's not happening after work anymore.
No, it is not.
But you have to be very deliberate. I know now. I'm gonna flip it a little bit and say, as a speaker, I enjoy the in-person events way more, because I tend to be a bit of an energy vampire. And if it's just me talking to my screen, I'm not getting fed. I'm a little bit like Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows, where I tell very, I think funny stories, but they just don't hit because I'm talking into a screen, and that doesn't work. How was that, Colin Robinson?
Yeah, it is a very different vibe. Yeah. And honestly, I think when I think about in-person conferences, I'm thinking about the personal networking that's going on.
Yes.
The challenge that I find, and speaking as someone who's attended many virtual conferences unsuccessfully, because I'm that person who will think that I'm offline, but I log in first thing in the morning and I'm logged on to the Zoom or the Uva or whatever it is, and people are still pinging me from work. I'm still logged on, so I'm still. The other thing about those virtual conferences is that it's so easy to go off camera, off camera and on mute, and walk to the kitchen and go get yourself something and disengage. Whereas when you're at a conference, you have to be on. Even if all you're doing is walking from one seminar room to the next seminar room, you're meeting people, and you look better than you would if you were just in your PJs and all of that. So you do it for different reasons, and it's so easy to disengage when you go off camera. I think that makes those virtual connections much more difficult.
Right.
The three of us are constantly on camera right now, and we're engaging with each other on camera, but I'm still looking at the little white light at the top of my laptop screen more than I am looking at your faces. So to me, might as well be talking to myself if someone wasn't talking back to me.
I think Sherry makes a good point.
Yeah, this one here,
you can start presenting, and then you're going down a road, and you have no, I guess it's like trying to be a comedian virtually. You don't know if what you're saying is hitting or not, but you're just like, I'm barreling through, and I'm not going to change because I don't know if I need to change, or I don't know if I need to keep doing this thing because that's what's getting a reaction. So it's like you're pretty much set in your presentation. So if you're a pretty much setting your presentation kind of person, then virtual is great. But if you're like a Vince and you can pivot, not so great.
And I was going to say, I stopped doing my famous Ugly Baby's keynote, I stopped doing it virtually because I did it a few times and it went to a really dark place. And it was like, well, I'm scaring myself. So I don't want to do this one virtually anymore. Whereas when you're in person, I do the whole, you gotta see like I do my Seinfeld voices. I do my voices, and it's like, to Sherry's point, you get to see the reaction, and I get to ask people, was that version of what's the deal with Ugly Baby? Like, was that better than the first time I did it or worse? Like, you get that immediate feedback, and it's not there virtually. So yeah, I agree with Mike. If you're a locked and loaded, like, this is my script, but then I would say just script it and try to make your reading sound as natural as possible, which I would never, ever, ever do.
Never. Ever.
Ever.
But if you do,
virtually, I would never do that.
But if you do, make sure you're reading near the top of your camera. Do not place it down beside you.
So everyone,
which I've seen.
Yes, and it looks really bad.
That's why I'm so thankful for I've got on my dual monitor system at home, I have my little camera like right on the edge of one of the monitors, so it's roughly in the center. And then I'm presenting on the right, and I have my presenter's notes up on the left. So it just works out that if I'm trying, and mostly I don't read a script, I just try to make sure that I didn't forget any of my bullet points in that particular slide or whatever. And it helps me to stay on track. But I would ramble. And I love being in a room with people because I will see their reaction. It's like, ooh, more of that. Mm-hmm. Or I know that something is not going well, and I'll like, ooh, yeah, I'm going on too long with this story. Wrap it up, Tam. So I really depend on those visual cues, and I really appreciate when people ask me questions because then I know what landed with them or what didn't land with them. And I often will but from the questions, I will get ideas for additional bits of content that I can add. And some of my presentations now have enough content that I'm like, oh yeah, this could go workshop length. Well, now that I'm workshop length, how do I put in interactive stuff? What are the, what are the activities that we could do? How can I? And so for me, it's this big feedback loop. And I'm always looking for ways to engage the audience and say, okay, I'm not going to yammer at you for an hour. I need you to engage with me. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, because this was really cool when I learned it for myself. And if you're in this room, I'm guessing that you think you can learn something too. What is it? What do you want to learn from this? So.
Well, tomorrow I'm just planning on talking at people for an hour. There will be no questions.
No questions.
I take what I want.
I'm having a hard time leaving that.
No, I take a very similar approach. Like I would rather have a conversation and get through half my slides. I would rather have a conversation than just me drone for an hour, and then, we've run out of time, everyone. So
sorry.
See you next year.
Send your questions by email.
Yeah. So, I think it's part of. I spent the last year working with a coach. It's taken a lot to figure out, my style of doing things, and I'm very comfortable at this point with just like getting up with a cup of coffee and like, let's have a conversation. I will be drinking coffee tomorrow during the keynote.
You will be drinking.
No, I will be drinking coffee tomorrow. I will be drinking coffee tomorrow. Which, by the way, Steve is very upset. Steve is he keeps us honest. I forgot to ask you guys what you were drinking. I had some I think it was like cherry soda. It wasn't very good, but they were out of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind drinking an adult beverage right now, but it just didn't work out that way. So
no, well, I mean,
that comes later.
It's not 5:00 here yet, so Mike, What are you drinking, buddy?
I'm just drinking water.
Good for you. It's just a regular non-alcoholic version of Analysts After Work.
Business travel, folks.
Business travel
the
edition.
glory of business travel.
Business
That's the
travel
theme
edition.
of this show.
Which is valid. So theme of the show, Mike, we got to get you out, buddy, because you're one of. This is going to be heady praise. So I hope everyone, Amy, if you're listening, everyone that's affiliated with an IIBA chapter, Mike's stories they're fantastic. The Donnie Brasco story, when you talk about getting to know your customer, is still one of my favorites.
Why,
so
thank you, appreciate
if you
That's
are
high
looking
praise coming from you.
If you are looking now reciprocate.
Well, Vince.
No, I'm just kidding. So if you IIBA leaders, if you are looking for an up and coming speaker, Mike Martino, check him out. MikeMartino.ca. I didn't say young.
That's
just
right.
An up and comer.
That's right.
But no, I mean, I think there are a lot more. There are a lot of. Why do I still have Steve's message up here? Let me take that down. I don't want to give him too much clout. I'm not giving you too much clout there, Steve. I just forgot that it was there. It's funny, you see all the number of good quality speakers that have started to make a name for themselves is. I think if I had to come in this market, I wouldn't do well. Fortunately, I got started in 2015. Amy gave me my shot, which is why Amy gets special treatment. But I like, there's so many amazing voices right now. Tamara, I think you're one of them. Mike, I think you're one of them. We got to get you out there a little bit more, though. But there's so many great voices talking about really important things that business analysts, but I will go even further, and people need to hear. It's an amazing time. I can't remember the last time I saw an event, an IIBA chapter or a PMI chapter event, and said, I have no idea who that person is. It's like there's a lot of really, really cool people. I don't know what this means. Not this. I don't know what this means. Can I put my dog on camera then? Yes. Amy, I will get you on the show soon, hilarious. And you can put your dog on. You know what? In Chicago, in Boston, you can be on in Boston because we're going to be live in Boston in a couple of weeks. But just there's a lot of great speakers. This is. I'll give Steve some more credit.
Well, and the community. I mean, honestly, I've been watching you and Jen Bedell and Amy get together, and you get together in Orlando, and you get together in Boston, and you meet each other somewhere else, and you put your pictures up on LinkedIn, and it's like there's even within the speaker community, there's a community, and that's been really. I think one of the coolest parts for me is I've as part of the Brussels Cafe on Friday mornings, I've gotten to know you and Fabrizio and Stefan and all kinds of other people. And now I would know who you are if I ran into you in a conference, which I finally will tomorrow. Well, tonight, actually, probably right after we get off of this. But
oh yeah, we're going for some tacos or something.
Oh,
we're going
yeah.
to something. Yeah.
But the community within the community is cool too.
So I was gonna wait at the airport until I saw that your flight was delayed because I was gonna be that Tamara, because we've never met in real life. So
that would be amazing. So we've been waiting for
that weird guy. I'm gonna do the joke with you that I did with Kat last year, but I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna do it. When I first approach you, I'm gonna be like this so that I feel comfortable. I need to look at you through a screen.
This the same person?
No, I just need to look at you through a screen so that I feel comfortable, and it's a joke and whatever. But there we go. So I think it's 5:00. It's taco time. Mike, for you, it's 6:00.
It is 6:00
in the Eastern time zone. Any last thoughts or any messages that you want to leave folks with from this episode? And I thank you both for being on, by the way.
It was great to be on again. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for inviting me as well, Vince.
I can't believe. Anyways, I can't believe I forgot that you were going to be. Not that I forgot you were going to be here, but I didn't think of like this week was a little. My head is elsewhere. Okay, in that case, this has been Analysts After Work. Let's, for the first time ever, we get to go out a little bit different based on some of Fabrizio's feedback. So thanks, everyone. We'll catch you in the next episode. Next episode is in 2 weeks with Laura Brandenburg and second guest TBD. But check us out in 2 weeks. Look for that one, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.